Good morning. The subcommittee will come to order. The subcommittee is meeting this morning to examine the status of the Coast Guard's acquisition programs. In 2002, the Coast Guard signed the contract to begin the acquisition of the program formerly known as the Integrated Deepwater System. Deepwater was supposed to provide a complete recapitalization and modernization of the service's larger aging assets, as well as outdated communications and information systems over a 20-year period. Well, at least that's what we were promised. Now, nearly a decade later, the service has less to show for their investment of over $7 billion in taxpayer money than it should. Although there has been some added capability with a few recapitalized assets delivered to date, the fact remains we are not where we should be. In fact, I don't even think we're close. The program remains significantly over budget and several years behind schedule. In addition, serious questions remain about whether the assets being delivered meet expected capabilities. And I'll remind everyone this was a big selling point with Deepwater, the capabilities aspect of this. The delays in the recapitalization program have put a tremendous strain on legacy assets, which has resulted in increased operating costs, a rising number of operational failures, and large gaps in mission readiness and performance. One of the many examples of these problems is the National Security Cutter. To date, the service has taken delivery of 2 national security cutters. Both vessels represent tremendous improvements over the 45-year-old vessels they are replacing. However, the program is currently 2 years behind schedule and 38% over the revised 07 budget. In addition, both vessels will require substantial retrofits to meet expected service lives. That one's really hard for me to understand and accept. Furthermore, both vessels were designed to carry 2 classes of stern-launched small boats, each with different size and capability to improve the cutter's range and effectiveness. And that was viewed as a very good thing. The larger of the 2 boats did not perform as required, and the smaller boat had to be modified to perform correctly. The service recently solicited industry for a solution to replace both classes of small boats. Meanwhile, the 2 NCS cutters operate without expected capabilities. You just don't expect that from new assets. I'm sorry. The NCS was also designed to carry up to 4 vertical takeoff unmanned aerial vehicles to extend the cutter's range and effectiveness, but neither vessel is outfitted with the VUAVs. In fact, the Coast Guard abandoned its original plans to acquire VUAVs. Finally, the NCS was intended to operate for 225 days at sea, but the Coast Guard has yet to implement the crewing plan to make that a reality. As the chart on the screen indicates, the NCS is not alone in suffering from setbacks. Using the Coast Guard's 07 rebaseline as a guide, of the Coast Guard's 17 large acquisition programs, 10 are over budget, 8 are behind schedule, 6 are both over budget and behind schedule. If we use the original Deepwater baseline as a guide, nearly all of these programs would be over budget and behind schedule. For the information of members, the chart on the screen primarily uses the service's 07 rebaseline as a point of comparison. The service recently completed another effort to review the types and numbers of assets needed to meet mission requirements. The subcommittee has repeatedly requested this document. I reiterate, has repeatedly requested this document because it has the potential to significantly increase cost and further delay asset deliveries. Unfortunately, the service refused to provide it to us. Let that sink in for a minute. Meanwhile, delays in the Coast Guard's recapitalization program have placed significant strains on legacy assets. The continued reliance of these assets, which have surpassed their planned service lives, are failing at increasing rates, has undermined mission readiness and performance. The service estimates a 23,000 mission hour gap exists in the Maritime Patrol aircraft fleet, a 33,000 hour mission gap in the major cutter fleet, and the 103,000 hour mission gap in the patrol boat fleet. Furthermore, the cost to maintain legacy assets continues to grow at the expense of investment in new assets in what Admiral Allen used to call a death spiral. Finally, in order to pay for the Deepwater program, several sacrifices were made in the budgets of other critical acquisitions. As a result, the rehabilitation of dilapidated housing for our servicemen and women has been put off, and needed investment in buoy tender and icebreaker fleets have been delayed. In fact, the Coast Guard has at least 8 classes of assets where the need for an acquisition program can clearly be demonstrated, but no acquisition plan or budget even exists. The Coast Guard leadership we have here today was not here 10 years ago and is not responsible for the past problems. We understand that. But I was here 10 years ago, and I know what we were promised. And this is not it. And this is the biggest group of cheerleaders that you're going to have in the Congress of the United States that you're for here today. And all this that I'm talking about is going on is going to be absorbed by members who are not paying the attention that we are, and it's not leading to a good thing. The Coast Guard has made great strides to turn the program around in recent years, and I commend them for that. But now it's time to deliver results for the taxpayer and for the men and women, and in particular for the men and women of the Coast Guard who desperately need these assets to successfully conduct their missions. I sincerely hope our witnesses will explain what the service intends to do to mitigate legacy asset failures and short-side infrastructure backlogs while ensuring the upgraded assets and technology set to be delivered in the future meet the mission need requirements and come in on budget and on time. With that, I'd like to yield to Mr. Larson.